stuff. Is there a little noise in that locker room?
Well, there was a little noise in the locker room, but I think it's all been cleared up over the last couple of months. All the different parties have talked about it. I think they've put it behind them, and they understand that the only way this team is going to get to where they want to go to is get rid of the negativity and move forward and forget about what happened in the past, because there's really nothing you can do about it. So I think they have that understanding now that they've talked through it all, and I think they're ready to move forward and put all that stuff behind them.
You know Pete Carroll real well, Warren, and I think he's a really different guy. He's not like all these football coaches. Like Tony Dungy, he really does it a different way, and he's a very pro player. Could I make the criticism, though, that at times he is so pro player that it empowers players to be more vocal than average, but sometimes that can create issues?
There's no question it can create issues, but he also leaves it up to the leadership of the team to make sure that they keep things under control. He doesn't want guys to be quiet. He doesn't want guys to not express themselves and express the opinions that they have. But if it goes overboard, if it crosses the line, there's no question Pete will bring guys in and make sure he lays down the law of what he expects. So he's going to give them leeway up until a certain point, but if it becomes a problem or a distraction, that's where he tries to nip it in the bud.
Russell Wilson got dinged up a little last year. You were mostly healthy in your career. Do you think some of his stats, there was a dip in them? Was it an injury thing? Was it an O-line thing? What are the reasons, in your opinion, Russell had a dip last year?
Well, he had his best year overall as far as passing yards in that, and he threw the ball more than he's thrown it since he's been here because of the running game not really being as effective as they wanted it to because of injuries. When you have a quarterback that has an MCL sprain and also a high ankle sprain and he still plays through it, he showed a lot of toughness and a lot of courage doing that, but it definitely did affect the way he played the game, and it affected who Russell Wilson is, because what really makes him special is when he's able to get outside the pocket and create plays after the play is broken down. He wasn't able to do that as much last year, but this year he comes in really, really healthy, a lot lighter. I think he's much more explosive, and I think Russell's primed to have one of his best years ever this year.
Warren, the Legion of Boom is getting a little older. Are you concerned at all about the age of that defense now?
Not so much from a physical standpoint. I'm more concerned about from a motivational standpoint. Are they still as hungry as they were when they first came into the league as low-round draft picks, as free agents and things like that? But from what I've seen so far in training camp, this seems to be a more rededicated group. And they really feel like their window is closing here in the next couple of years, and they want to try and get to the Super Bowl a couple of more times before they actually do get to the stage where their physical abilities start to leave a little bit. They're right now in the primes of their career, 27, 28 years old, so they've still got a few more years left if they continue to play at their high level.
Listen, Richard Sherman's a vocal guy. We're watching more and more players, and I actually think this, Warren, is good. I've said this. I think you should play football in life. I don't think you should play it forever. I don't think there should be tackling until you're 15, and I would like to see guaranteed money to players so they can get out at 29 and not play to 35. I think the time you play should shrink. And when you got a guy that has a brand like Richard Sherman, and he's put his money away, and he's smart, and he's rich, and he's going to do many things in his life, do you think it's possible that Richard Sherman could be the first star of this team? Because we're seeing it now, a pattern in the NFL. He could be the first guy to hang it up.
I don't know. Richard loves the game, and as long as he continues to play at a high level, I think he'll continue to play. Now, if he feels like his play is eroding a little bit, I think he'd be the first guy to say, I don't want to be out there just a fraction of myself. I want to be at a certain level. If I'm not there, I'll go ahead and walk away from the game. And he can probably do that because, like you said, of the way he's been able to take care of his money, and he has a whole lot of other interests outside of football. So, he could be a guy that walks away, but I think it has a lot to do with how he's playing.
I picked the Seahawks. I picked my NFC yesterday, AFC today. I had the Seahawks 10-6 in winning their division. I think their schedule's tough, and I don't love their offensive line. It's young, and their top defensive line pick got hurt in an ATV accident, which is just drives me nuts when that stuff happens.
That one I don't understand.
What is your – I'm looking at your Seahawks schedule now. It's a workable schedule. What's your overall feeling of the team this year, realistically?
You know, Colin, they play a top-flight schedule every year because they win their division or they're right there at the top. So that part doesn't concern me. They're used to playing the best teams. But I think this team being healthy is going to be the key. They're a team that was banged up all throughout the year last year at all different positions. Their offensive line was very young. This year, that same offensive line is all back together again. I think they're going to be much more improved. Their running backs are all healthy coming into the season, along with Eddie Lacy. I think that's going to be a big key for them. And then their quarterback is healthy. So health is going to be a big key for them as far as how far they go this year. Last year, they went to the divisional round with all those injuries. If they're healthy, they've got a chance to make a very, very healthy playoff run, possibly to another Super Bowl.
Finally, I read a story about Jim Plunkett this week, a really good player and a good guy who's in kind of physical peril with all the hits he took. And I would be, I'm not that I'm reluctant, but I want to ask you this. You played a long time, college Canadian pro football. How do you feel when you wake up in the morning, Warren?
You know, I really feel pretty good. I fly on airplanes a lot, so sometimes I get a stiff neck from doing that. But other than that, from football, I really have no recurring injuries and no limitations. So I'm very blessed that way. But that doesn't mean after having 6 concussions is not something I don't worry about each and every day, whether those concussions are going to take effect on me mentally or not. But like I said, after 23 years of professional football, 33 years total of playing and banging, I feel pretty good. Thank God.